This story follows Amara, an alien from a tough, survival-focused world, as she comes to Earth to study humans. Earth is a dangerous place known as a death world, but humans live here with surprising strength and emotion. Amara must learn to survive not just the physical dangers, but the confusing social and emotional world of a human high school. Alongside Dante, a human teenager, she faces challenges that test her survival skills, her culture's strict rules, and her growing feelings. The story is emotional and intense, full of suspense, discovery, and moments where cultures clash. The stakes are high as Amara risks losing who she is to adapt, while Dante learns that life isn't always about following plans. The sky was dark and heavy with storm clouds. Lightning flashed across the sky, and thunder rumbled like the roar of a great beast. Rain poured down hard, hitting the ground like millions of tiny knives. In the middle of this fierce storm, a strange, metal pod landed quietly on the front lawn of the Williams family home. The pod was shaped like an egg, smooth and silver, with no windows or doors visible at first. Inside the house, Mason and Mia Williams watched the rain through the window, while their son Dante stood under an umbrella, eyes fixed on the strange pod. "Should we open it?" Dante asked, his voice full of nervous excitement. Mia shouted over the storm, "The pod's atmosphere needs time to adjust, 30 seconds. The pod hissed and then slowly opened. A mist of vapor escaped into the rain, and from inside stepped a figure. She was dressed in a mix of space suit and military armor, with glowing lights along her arms and strange tools hanging from her belt. The helmet slid back to reveal her face, almost human, but with shining copper skin and deep blue eyes without pupils. "I am Amara," she said in perfect English, her voice carrying a strange, musical tone. "Oxygen levels acceptable. Toxicity surprisingly low for a Class 9 death world." Mason smiled proudly. "Welcome to Earth. I'm Mason Williams, and this is my wife Mia, and our son Dante." Amara studied them carefully. "You show little protection against this hostile environment." "Fascinating." She looked at Dante. "You are young, juvenile development stage. Most impressive." Dante shrugged and smiled. "Maybe we should go inside. It's deadly out here." Amara's eyes widened. "Deadly?" "My briefing said the rain was only acidic and radiation contaminated." Mia rolled her eyes. "We fixed the acid rain years ago. Now it's mostly harmless, if you don't stand in it too long." Amara made a note on her wrist device. Human humor involves deliberate environmental misinformation. Inside the house, Amara scanned every room with glowing tools. She was especially interested in the kitchen. She picked up a bowl of fruit and looked at it with a mix of horror and curiosity. "You eat these without filters?" "We wash them first," Dante said. Amara quickly activated a small device that shone blue light over the fruit. "Allow me to demonstrate decontamination protocols." The fruit glowed briefly, then looked normal. "Now safe." Mason laughed. "We have immune systems, you know." "Extremely impressive," Amara said earnestly. "Your digestive systems process compounds that would dissolve military containment." Mia clapped her hands. "This is going to be educational." Amara's room upstairs was like a control center and a garden at the same time. Strange machines hummed quietly, and fresh plants lined the window. Mason explained, "Flora helps with oxygen. And we installed a shower for your filaments." "Most adequate," Amara said, touching her copper hair-like filaments. "I will build emergency shelter with local materials. Much more efficient." Dante showed her the house's school schedule. "I'll show you the way tomorrow." "School?" Amara said, alarmed. "Yes, you're going to school." The next morning, Amara wore a modified survival suit full of sensors and gadgets. Dante looked at her and shook his head. "That's going to get you noticed." Amara was puzzled. "I removed most of the defenses. This is minimal survival gear." Walking to school, Amara scanned the streets and buildings with her devices. Your area is surprisingly non-toxic. Just boring suburbia, Dante said. But listen, school is a social minefield. That suit and those scanners will make you a target. Amara nodded thoughtfully. I will adapt. Survival depends on observation. At school, students stopped and stared. Some whispered and took pictures. Amara answered questions with scientific precision while scanning the air. Dante tried to protect her from too much attention. She noticed Dante's social group, the debate team. Status based on survival accomplishments and exploration achievements. That's like winning debates here, Dante explained. Intellectual survival. The principal welcomed Amara warmly. Your presence brings valuable new views. In the hall, Dante saw Riley Wu, the rival debate captain. She smiled thinly and asked Amara many questions about her culture and survival skills. Amara answered calmly but was cautious. Riley's questions hinted at a challenge. She knew Amara's culture considered emotions weaknesses. This was a test. The days passed with Amara learning fast. She dropped most of her gear but kept her scanners. Dante helped explain her strange behavior to teachers. The debate team included her in their practice. Amara's logical, direct style made them stronger. One day, Dante noticed Amara reading poetry. I thought you said emotions were defects. Amara looked uneasy. They are considered defects where I come from. But here, I find myself drawn to them. Dante smiled. Maybe emotions aren't weaknesses. At home, Mason tinkered with inventions while Mia studied Amara's biological changes. Amara's body was adapting to Earth in ways her people did not expect. One night, Amara confessed to Dante she had hidden emotional changes in her reports. Her culture might try to erase them. Dante promised to help her fight for who she was becoming. The morning sun pushed through the clouds, softening the rain's memory on the wet streets. Amara stood before the mirror in her room, touching her copper filaments as if searching for answers in their gentle sway. She was no longer just a visitor, she was becoming something new, caught between worlds. Dante knocked on the door, holding a stack of books and a nervous smile. Ready for school? Amara nodded, her dark eyes steady. I have adapted my attire to be less conspicuous. Survival depends on blending in. At breakfast, Mason presented his latest invention, a small device that could read emotional responses by detecting neurological signals. It might help Amara show her government that her feelings aren't defects but adaptations. Amara studied the machine with interest. Such tools could change understanding of cognitive processes. School felt like a battlefield. Amara's suit was gone, but her sensors remained hidden beneath normal clothes. Students still stared, whispers followed, and Riley Wu's calculated gaze never left her. During debate practice, Amara's unusual approach shocked the team at first. She spoke plainly, dissecting arguments with cold logic but also weaving in unexpected insights about human emotion and culture. Emotional appeals are often dismissed as irrational, she said one afternoon, but they can enhance persuasion through authenticity. The coach, Mr. Harmon, nodded thoughtfully. That's new, and powerful. Riley watched from the sidelines, her smile thin and sharp. Amara sensed the challenge building, a test not just of words but of survival in the social jungle. One evening, Dante and Amara studied recordings of previous debates. Riley's team relies on tradition and precedent, Dante said. We can use your fresh perspective to break that. Amara's filaments twitched. Our culture values adaptation over tradition. That may be our advantage. But danger lurked deeper. Amara's wrist scanner began to beep softly, a warning signal. She looked up at Dante, eyes wide. My developmental evaluation is approaching. If my government detects emotional contamination, they may force correction. Dante's heart clenched. We'll find a way to prove your emotions help you survive here. At home, Mia showed them microscopic images of Amara's cells, revealing tiny changes adapting her body to Earth's environment. Your biology is changing, Amara. You're evolving here. Mason tinkered late into the night, adding lights and sounds to his devices to demonstrate emotional benefits in patterns and colors. If we can show this scientifically, they might accept you. The day of the evaluation arrived. Officials appeared in holographic form, cold and clinical. They asked pointed questions, scanned data, and reviewed Amara's report. Mia spoke with calm confidence, presenting their evidence of adaptive specialization. Dante added recordings of debates showing how Amara's emotions improved her arguments. The officials debated among themselves. Finally, the lead evaluator spoke, evidence merits further study. Subject may continue exchange under supervision. Relief and joy washed over the room. Amara's filaments lifted in a gesture Dante recognized as a smile. Days later, at the state debate finals, tension filled the air. The topic was cultural exchange, benefit or imperialism. Riley's team attacked fiercely, highlighting Amara's emotional adaptations as flaws to be corrected. Amara fought to control her rising distress signals while Dante prepared to counter. When Amara left the stage, shaken but determined, Dante stepped forward. Cultural exchange challenges us to grow. Yes, differences exist, but rejecting new experiences limits survival and understanding. His words carried passion and truth, drawing from everything he'd learned. The crowd leaned in, caught in the struggle of ideas. In the end, the Williams team won by a narrow margin. But the victory was bittersweet. Amara disappeared before the celebrations. Later, Dante found her in the quiet hotel lobby, her filaments dimmed. They want to erase who you've become, she said softly. Dante vowed they would fight to protect her new self. The rain had stopped, but the sky still hung heavy with dark clouds. Dante and his parents searched the halls of the hotel, asking anyone who might have seen Amara. But she was gone, leaving behind only the faint hum of her wrist device resting on the table. Mason frowned. She's not here. Mia's voice was calm but tense. The evaluation report triggered a follow-up. Amara's government will demand a full developmental assessment. If they find her emotional changes unacceptable, they might erase them. Dante clenched his fists. We can't let that happen. His parents nodded, and soon the family van was packed with gear, emergency supplies, scientific instruments, and plenty of determination. We're going after her, Mason said firmly. The storm clouds gathered again as they drove toward the national park where Amara had said she wanted to be alone. The roads wound through wet trees, and thunder rumbled in the distance. Mia studied maps and data, her eyes sharp with purpose. Amara prefers high ground for perspective. The North Ridge is the likely spot. Dante's heart raced. The wilds were dangerous, sharp rocks, slippery trails, and sudden storms. But he had to find her. Arriving at the park's visitor center, a ranger handed them a map. We've had flash flood warnings. It's not safe, but we're sending teams out to find her. Dante took the lead, following the path Mia indicated. Rain began again, cold and sharp. Lightning split a tree nearby, shaking the ground beneath their feet. Suddenly, Dante spotted a small tent near the edge of a ridge. Inside, Amara was setting up gear, her face focused but distant. You shouldn't be here, she said, her voice steady despite the storm. I'm here to help, Dante replied. The storm is dangerous. We need to get to shelter. A crack of thunder split the sky. The earth trembled, and a section of the ridge began to crumble. Dante grabbed Amara's arm, pulling her away from the edge as rocks tumbled down the slope. They fell together, landing hard on wet stone. Dante's ankle twisted sharply. Pain shot through his leg, and he could barely stand. Amara's calm returned as she examined his injury. Likely a grade 2 sprain. We must find shelter quickly. Using supplies from her pack, she fashioned a cold compress and a wrap to stabilize his ankle. Together, they moved toward a nearby cave, rain pelting them as they struggled up slippery paths. "Why did you come here alone?" Dante asked, breathing hard. "To reconnect with my core survival training," Amara replied. "I must prepare for the evaluation. Remember who I am beneath these changes." Inside the cave, the storm howled outside. Amara activated a small light, soft and steady. "Your communication device should alert search teams." Dante leaned back against the rock, wincing as pain throbbed in his ankle. "I'm sorry." "For what?" "For Riley knowing about your cultural restrictions. I talked too much. It put you at risk." Amara's filaments twitched faintly. "The fault is mine. I failed to control my emotional responses during the debate. The violation was valid by my people's standards." "But maybe those standards are wrong," Dante said softly. "Maybe emotions help you survive here." She looked at him, eyes wide and thoughtful. "That is an interesting hypothesis." They spent the night in the cave, sharing quiet conversation while the storm raged. Dante realized how much he had changed too, not just in his plans for the future, but in his understanding of life and survival. Morning light filtered through cracks in the cave as search teams arrived nearby. Mason and Mia led the rescue with practiced skill, guiding Dante and Amara to safety. Back in the van, the family discussed their plan for the evaluation. "We must prove that emotional adaptation improves function," Mia said firmly. Mason nodded. "My devices will help demonstrate neurological benefits." Dante's debate recordings show practical results. Amara's filaments swayed gently as she considered their hope. "We will challenge my people's understanding together." The day of the developmental evaluation arrived with an eerie calm. Amara sat quietly in the living room, her copper skin glowing softly under the bright lights. Her filaments twitched with a mixture of anxiety and determination. The three officials appeared as sharp holograms, their faces expressionless and cold. "Subject Amara Enverex," the lead evaluator began, "your reports indicate emotional contamination beyond acceptable parameters." "Explain." Amara held her head high. "My adaptation to Earth includes integration of emotional responses. These responses enhance decision-making in variable social environments." Mia stepped forward, presenting charts and cellular data. "What you call contamination is adaptive specialization. Amara's cells show physical changes that improve her function in Earth's atmosphere." Dante added, "Her emotional engagement made her debate argument stronger and more persuasive. It's a survival advantage here." The officials exchanged glances, their tone skeptical but intrigued. "This hypothesis requires further study," the lead evaluator stated finally. "Subject may continue exchange under supervision, with ongoing assessments." Relief washed over the room. Amara's filaments lifted, a sign of joy. Days passed, and Amara became more comfortable in her human life. She abandoned her survival suit entirely, wearing normal clothes and moving freely among classmates. Her friendships deepened, especially with Dante. One afternoon, the debate team celebrated qualifying for the state championship. Amara's unique perspective had been key. As they prepared, Riley Wu watched from afar, her eyes sharp with rivalry. The finals would be more than a debate, it was a test of trust, culture, and identity. The night before the championship, Amara and Dante sat beneath the stars. "Do you ever feel lost between who you are and who you are becoming?" Dante asked softly. Amara's filaments swayed thoughtfully. "I fear losing my true self, but I also find new strength here." Dante smiled. "Maybe it's not about losing, but growing." At the championship, the topic was cultural exchange. Riley's team attacked fiercely, pointing out Amara's emotional differences as flaws. Amara fought to maintain control, but her violation monitor beeped loudly. She excused herself, overwhelmed but resolute. Dante stepped up, his voice steady and passionate. What we see as defects might be adaptations, he said. Cultural exchange means learning, changing, and surviving together. The audience was silent, caught in the weight of his words. When the judges announced the winners, the Williams team had edged out victory. But Amara was gone again, leaving Dante worried and alone. Later, he found her in the quiet hotel lobby. Her filaments dimmed, eyes tired. "They want to erase this part of me," she whispered. Dante took her hand. "We'll fight to keep you whole. You're not alone." The night felt heavy as Dante and his parents prepared for what felt like the most important moment since Amara's arrival. The evaluation to decide her future. Mason checked his devices again, adjusting wires and lights, while Mia organized their research notes carefully. Amara sat quietly, her filaments dim but steady, eyes reflecting a mix of fear and hope. She was no longer just a guest on Earth, she was becoming part of something bigger, a bridge between worlds. The holographic officials appeared once more, their faces sharp and unreadable. The lead evaluator began without emotion. "Subject Amara Enverex, your emotional adaptations are unconventional and potentially disruptive to traditional survival models. Explain your position." Amara's voice was calm but filled with new strength. "My emotional responses have increased my cognitive flexibility and decision-making. They have improved my ability to navigate complex social and environmental challenges on Earth." Mia presented cellular imagery and scientific data showing clear adaptation patterns. Mason demonstrated his device, translating Amara's neurological responses into vivid light patterns that represented emotional processing. Dante played debate footage where Amara's passion swayed opponents and judges alike. The officials conferred quietly. After a tense silence, the lead evaluator spoke. "The evidence supports the hypothesis that these emotional responses are adaptive, not defects. Subject is authorized to continue the exchange program with ongoing monitoring." Joy and relief erupted in the room. Amara's filaments pulsed warmly, a sign of deep happiness. Dante smiled, feeling that something fundamental had changed, not just for Amara, but for both their worlds. Weeks later, the school gym buzzed with music and laughter. The senior prom was in full swing, a blend of teenage joy and awkward excitement. Amara had shed her survival gear completely, dressed in a simple, elegant blue gown that highlighted her copper skin. Her filaments moved in soft, intricate patterns, a sign of contentment. Dante approached her, nervous but sincere. "You look amazing." Amara smiled, a genuine, warm curve of her lips. "Thank you. I have tried to balance my heritage with Earth's customs." The music slowed, and Dante offered his hand. "May I have this dance?" They moved together, halting and uncertain at first, then finding a shared rhythm. The world around them faded as they connected, two beings from different planets, learning to live and feel together. In that quiet moment, Dante realized how much his perfect plans had changed. Life was no longer about following a set path but about discovering new directions, ones shaped by friendship, courage, and unexpected love. As the night wore on, beneath the twinkling lights and the stars beyond, Amara and Dante danced not just as student and alien exchange, but as two souls finding home in each other's world.